Now, there are a number of incredibly important lessons to learn about this framework that we've just described. First, although I've described it as a store-level dashboard drilling down, it's possible that you may want to take a look at this by region or by brand. There are multiple ways you need to take a look at your organization. It's almost like a cube, but it's an n-dimensional cube. And depending on what are the strategic constructs in which you operate, you need to build a view of that organization. In fact, in other webinars, you'll learn how we deal with that matrix organization to ensure that the corporate services groups are supporting adequately what's happening out in the field. On the impact diagram, there are multiple ways of showing this sort of information. The net is we need to show how it is the big picture begins to drill down to specific operational issues to enable leadership to focus their activities correctly. Dashboards are perhaps the most confusing things for organizations. Again, these aren't cute maps with different states or provinces colored based on performance or pie charts and so forth. We need the ability to provide consolidated, comprehensive analytic information to process experts who can, with their extreme skills and intuition, be able to interpret what's happening up to the leadership team. And of course, we need to enable a series of business intelligence and agile analytic tools to allow us to constantly chase down trends in the marketplace. Now, to bring you back to where we began, that top layer is a strategic view of the organization. We then need to underpin that with operational understanding, diagnostic tools, and finally prescriptive tools in the analytic category. Now, if you take a look in your organization, I'm sure you'll see bits and pieces of this structure existing. In fact, one of the interesting things that we've discovered is that we don't actually have to start off at the bottom. If you think of this chart, overall, this is a bit like, building a pyramid, where traditionally we're going to put down a layer of blocks at the bottom and then gradually make another layer of rocks on top that aren't quite as wide until eventually, a generation or two later, we get to the pointy rock at the top. That's like building a data warehouse and so forth. What we really can now do is start at the top of that pyramid. We can chisel out that top pointy rock and metaphorically hold it on our shoulders and wait. Wait until we see what the performance issues that are going on in the organization, and then just build down the drill down around the issues that management needs to grapple with, and only build it down as deep as you need to resolve the problem. So the idea now is we're not trying to boil the ocean. We're going to take a cup of it and boil that one cup, where we have a felt and verified business case to go chase it down. And in this way, we can very quickly identify and build out solutions where the organization gets the best benefit back. And when I say quickly, typically we should be able to build out any one of these layers in a week. Scorecard, 5 days. One impact diagram, 5 days. One dashboard, 5 days. We quickly build these out as a pilot, deploy them in the organization, and begin testing to see how they work and how they help management make better, more informed decisions. Now, a second thing to note about this hierarchy is that as we try to execute an objective, let's say grow the corporation, when it gets to the impact diagram, I'm going to be drilling in the next level down. I'm going to be looking at product or group growth. Then I need to drill down another level of detail, maybe down to SKU issues, for example, and then finally down to very detailed analytics, SKU by customer, by region, by store, and so forth. Now, what we notice is a couple of things. Most importantly, perhaps, is a characteristic of time. The senior team, the leadership team, is looking out, say, 1 to 5 years. The product team is looking out 1 to 5 quarters. The operational teams are looking out 1 to 5 months, and so forth. So we understand that as we become from strategic to operational to tactical to a task, the timelines get shorter and shorter. Now you, as a leadership team, need to understand that correlation. Again, at McDonald's, what we observed is you'll tolerate about 3 minutes in the drive-through line out. And that has a huge impact on shareholder value, both in terms of the cost of keeping it at 3 minutes and, more importantly, the ability to sustain great performance at that level. Now, if I interviewed the drive-through window people, they probably wouldn't care a bit about share price. What they care about is a tactical goal of 3 minutes in the drive-through lineup. So what we need to do is be able to build that drill down, understand how it links to performance and compensation models, and make sure that we have the appropriate model supporting the appropriate level in the organization. So a lot of this is strategy execution, and strategy execution happens at many places in many ways in the organization. And the trick to making these management systems effective is, first off, mirror how management thinks. Secondly, quickly develop pilots so you can test its usefulness inside the culture of your organization. And by the way, the pilots also build ownership, because as they're released and the broader organization works with them, that working with them and making them better builds involvement, and the involvement builds commitment. And then finally, this evolutionary process allows you to get great value for your invested time and money, because you're only building it out where there's a felt and verified need. How this might look in many organizations is a bit like this. We may end up with an overall scorecard at the region, corporate, store level, and within that, the next level down. So in the example of a store level scorecard, we might have departmental scorecards or impact diagrams, and that drills down to specific dashboards which are looking at tactical issues like shift, department, and so forth. In some organizations, we find that different groups in the organization like to see the organization in similar or different ways. The trick here is to help enable a communication framework that enables your leadership team to see the information in the way that they think is most effective for their decision-making process. It's not an issue of trying to introduce both new concepts and new reports. If you can incorporate the current reports into a new framework, it makes the implementation much easier and also helps you leverage off the investment you've already made in those information systems and the underpinning thoughtware. To learn more about these and other concepts, please go to the Insights section of pm2consulting.com, where you'll find many other webinars covering topics like these. Thank you for your time.